Good afternoon, everybody. It is 4:22. We're going to call this meeting to order. It's a meeting of the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone number 1. We are meeting at the La Posada Hotel Tesoro Room, given that we have an event following, a public information event following. Calling the meeting to order. Edgar, would you do roll call for us?
Of course. We have Ms. Patricia Goldberg.
Here.
We have Mr. Jose Castillo.
Here.
Mr. Orlando Navarro.
Here.
We have Mr. Jose Ceballos.
Here.
And we have Ms. Carol Alexander. We do have a forum.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks to our city staff for setting up with us here. Item number 3 is minutes, approval of minutes for July 13, 2021. Those minutes are in your packet. As soon as you are ready, I'll entertain a motion to vote on this item. Is there a motion on the item?
I would like to just comment on the second page, 1, 2, on the 4th paragraph. When already, I just would like to make the comment that this list of stakeholders does not include emails, right? It's the list from the Webb County Business District, and it does not include emails. It includes addresses, right? So that's been a challenge for us to try and identify emails for these stakeholders.
So you want that noted and then left in that sentence?
Right, just that it's from the Webb County. The list is from Webb County.
And we could put it as a explanation, because we do these based on
The videos. that we
yeah.
see.
So the way we've been doing the minutes, that's why sometimes it's very specific.
Oh, okay.
So we can like summarize it more or less, but there's an actual feature that allows us to get the transcripts of the minutes since they're on YouTube now. It's actually transcribed, and sometimes we just need to change. The word might not pick up the same way because of the way it's being pronounced or whatever. But so if you want to give additional information on the comment made, we can put it as comment upon minutes.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay,
is
perfect.
addition. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not calling it a correction. I
Okay.
just wanted to make the notation. So yes.
Perfect. We'll put it as a note.
That this list does not include emails, which
Okay.
was challenging, of course, for this meeting.
Yes. Okay, we'll make a note.
Right. Is there a motion on this item?
I'll send.
It's been moved by Ms. Alexander to adopt the minutes as presented. Seconded. All those by Ms. Goldberg. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? None. Motion passes. All right. Item 4, citizen comments. Citizens are required to fill out a witness card no later than 4:30 to be found at La Posada Hotel, Tesoro Room 1000 Zaragoza Conference Room. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any side of an issue. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comments should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted. I don't see any members of the public.
Comments yet.
Any public comments from anyone? All right. We will then move move on to the next item. Item 5, discussion with possible action regarding the project development agreement between the City of Laredo and the Tax Increment Zone Number 1 document as prepared. Board member comments regarding the information presented and any other items as third to. Tina, did we hear back from legal or?
No, I spoke to one of the attorneys yesterday, so he said he will be reviewing it and he will let us know of any comments or additions or anything that he would need to add.
Does the board have any input on this? I have some, but I'd like to open it up to others if you've had a chance to look at it. Both technical comments or execution comments. So, what I had mentioned to Henry Savigny, our chair, is that we entertain as a board authorizing him to finalize the document and to work with any committee members that need to be part of that without having a quorum, so that we don't lose a full month. I don't know if you all agree with that, but we presented a working draft based on our input and our Able Cities input, and so that we don't lose another 30 days. Maybe we get something feedback in a week, and authorize Henry to go ahead and finalize it without having to come back next month. I don't know if you all would. And Henry's walking in. I don't know if you all are okay with that. We can discuss it.
And usually the items that might come about from the legal review might be standard language that the city might want us to put in there. So I don't know if that would even have any, there might not be a need to bring it back to the committee because they might, the city might say, I need this in the document.
Henry, you walked in right on time. I was saying that I mentioned to you entertaining a motion to authorize you, with the help of our consultants, to finalize that instrument. And I also invited any members, that doesn't reach a quorum to finalize that with you.
Would you be comfortable to do that?
I've had my input more, so I don't think it needs to come back to me. I think Henry can, by him, we can start to finalize that, whatever the board wants to do.
We've circulated, you've seen it, unless there's, I'm going to look at it, unless there's something. I'll come right back to you and say, I disagree. So, I won't hold my tongue if I see something that should, and I know you all aren't going to do that anyway, so.
It's to everyone's interest, right? The city and.
It's that exactly.
Henry, since you're back, I'll go ahead and pass on
I don't mind
the
if you
presiding.
continue. Would you continue?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let the record know that Mr. Henry Savigny is now present.
All right, thank you. All right. So, Mr. Castillo, you comfortable with that?
I was absent for the last meeting, so I didn't get a chance to see it. I don't know.
Document that you did give us the numbers to, the one that was highlighted. I could resend it to you. I believe it's the one that there was some highlighted areas that needed the exact amount, the dollar amounts. And I want to say you provided us those.
Yes, you did.
You provided the ordinance number, the day of the motion went through, and then so it's that document. So now it's just the board motion the last meeting for it to be reviewed by our legal department. So it is being reviewed right now. I did mention for them to reach out to you if they had any questions on the funding or that type of language. But other than that, I would only foresee legal maybe adding standard language that are used to, or normal or required by the bond or required by our charter.
Rolando, you feel okay to proceed?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I just did Henry's comfortable with that.
Good. Okay, so I will make that motion that we proceed in that fashion, and that the chair report back if there's anything striking that he thinks needs to be discussed. It will be brought back, if not, to finalize. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castillo. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Against? None. Motion passes. Discussion. My next item is number 6, discussion of possible action regarding the Downtown Tourist Number 1 project as prepared by Able City. Board member comments regarding the information presented and any other matters as there to? You got to do a presentation here, or are you just reporting back?
Really, it's just a presentation that we had today and on this afternoon.
Just, I guess for the record, talk about that this morning's meeting I thought went very well. Very well doesn't mean that it was very quiet. There were some very direct questions, some interesting points that were made, but all said in a very positive tone and in a I want to get it done tone. So I'm hoping for a successful second meeting.
And I did take notes, so I'll share those with you all. In terms of the list of things that came up, I thought there was, I want to say some excitement, thinking positively. Hopefully they stay engaged, the property owners. I'm glad they came.
And primarily, I think, let's emphasize that for those members that were not here. Not only property owners were here, but primarily property owners were here. And primarily property owners on the streets that we have projects on. I mean, it's not a surprise because we intentionally made the effort to do some outreach, but they could have ignored the outreach and they didn't. So thank you to board members that helped recruit some of these people because you know them. Carol, emphasizing you because I know there are 2 or 3 people that were there because of you. And also outreach by Able City to make sure that property owners were there too. Thank you.
Laredo Main Street.
And Laredo Main Street for the record.
I mean, in terms of just highlights, I thought what was, since we're talking about it, a few minutes before the next event, is the idea that we need an action plan for redevelopment of downtown. I think that's progressively where we're headed, naturally with what we're doing. But I think that's important. Somebody raised the comment that there should be a merchants association, and I know it would have been maybe a little too blunt to say, well, why don't you host it? But I feel like we should go back to those people that feel like they can have a merchants association, get them involved. The maintenance of improvements that are being put in place, things that we've discussed before, but that kind of were raised organically during that session. I thought that was good. And wayfinding. I mean, there's a bunch of things, but the redevelopment action plan is an important. I think, Henry, for us, I think that would be the next.
Yeah.
And then somebody made the notion that we should be planning phase 2 and phase 3 of improvements, and I like that. I think that's good.
And then there was the comment initially on how are the improvements, how they be maintained. I was
Right, maintenance, yeah.
That was good.
That was the key.
That also grew organically.
Yes.
But that is a good point.
Yes, it is.
And if it's a point that has an answer. It's a point that has an answer. It's not like it hasn't been discussed. We've discussed it at this board because TERS boards, which I learned there's over 100 in Texas. TERS boards regularly work with business districts to maintain the improvements.
There was significant discussion for those of you that are representing the city about what the city should entertain or perhaps act on. And so the group, well, I said, that there should be a consensus of about 5 people or five elements or improvements or even projects that the group can come back, a short list, so to speak, for the city leadership, both council and management and entertainment, which I think instead of coming back with like 20 things, so that came from me. So, but there was general. I want to say that.
Yeah, well, Seth funneled that discussion very nicely because easily there was a list of 20 things, and when we review the minutes, we'll see 20 things on that list. But again, without prodding from us, and the board members were pretty quiet because we wanted the guests to be speaking, except of course with my presentation. But after that, then. This and let's discuss what those top 5 things are. So if we're going to go to the city with we need these top 5 things. Let's do the top 5 things and not the top 20 things because then no things will get done. not because we don't want to, but we know how things work. You know, you got to focus on the priorities that they give you.
And these are 5 things that possibly the church could assist
Get
with.
involved with and to, in some way help or participate in, certainly. But not necessarily only, because they talked about utility work. And if that's one of their top priorities.
Any additional comments on that item?
Well, the meeting was interesting without prodding. People were asked to introduce themselves and then talk about what city they like to visit. And I wrote down what the cities were, and then the question was, what city would you like to visit and why? And so, because we were charged with helping people walkability in downtown Laredo, so I wrote them all down. There was history, walkability, walkable, and pizza. That was Chicago. So
Yeah.
some of the cities. So nice. Mexico because it was cosmic. Jerusalem because of the history. San Miguel de Allende, walkability. Chicago, walkability. Austin, walkability. Washington D.C., walkability. It was organically, like you
Right.
said, that's what people like to visit. If we could do that.
Yes.
Well, we're doing that.
Get it.
We're doing that.
All right. Well, if there is no action on this item, submitted by the city, I trust all of you have it in your packet.
Just something to mention. So in our last meeting, the pending invoice that we still have, correct me if I'm wrong, is the one for June.
Only one section was pending.
So it got approved. Services.
Right.
So I don't know if you would like for that line item to be considered in another category. Does it fall under another category? Your contract only speaks that the board may order changes in these services, considering additions, deletions, revisions within the scope of work being performed by the consultant. There's also a contract amendment. So you can ask for, we can present an amendment if this section 5.9 wants to be added to the scope of services, because it's not there right now.
So, yeah, so let's review. Last and Able City said, okay, we handled this in the past. I don't know. Do we find something that is appropriate, another area where this is appropriate, or is it just as easy to say we should have had a line item for printing and we didn't, and let's add it?
It can be.
I'd like direction from the city.
It can be done both ways. If it's an item that would fall under. If not, I would possibly suggest that we amend the scope of services.
Tina, your experience with this, what's your recommendation?
I mean, if they're not willing to change we can do it. We've done both. We usually will go back to the invoicer and say this item's not here, and then they'll maybe it was an oversight on their part, and they say, no, you know what, you're right, it wasn't in this line item. Let's move it to this line item because it is a deliverable on this other line item.
No,
Doesn't it fit under 5.5?
which is?
Which is develop project designs and diagrams, illustrations, renderings, and art. Isn't printing part of development?
I felt that there's another line item somewhere there
Very good.
that could possibly.
So then let's, and I agree with you. In fact, I saw a couple of them, and I'm sorry I don't have the format right now, but I saw a couple of that I don't remember that was one of them that I saw. But that said, I think it could be categorized appropriately to another line item. And I'll just ask Able City to resubmit the invoice with the appropriate line item. Does that work, Amos City?
Yes.
Okay. That's the way we'll handle that item.
Any other discussion here before we vote on it?
So we do have the invoice for them at the bottom.
It's the $8,000, right?
8,000, that's all.
Yeah. I saw that, and I've been seeing what the work they've been doing in preparing for this presentation and a bit more. I moved that the invoice be approved as presented.
Is there a
Are
second?
you gonna add the whole discussion about the printing in your motion?
No, I'm just gonna ask them to in another invoice. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
So it's been moved by Mr. Savanier, seconded by Mr. Navarro. Is there any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? Anything else the board would like to, we don't have anything on the agenda, but before we close, any other comments from the board? If there's none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Savanier, seconded by Ms. Goldberg. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? None. We are adjourned. It is 4:44. Thanks, everybody.